Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Danny here, and today I'm talking to you about Blam Gakuen. This is the compilation of stories that was published in the Afternoon magazine from 2004 to 2008, and of course written and drawn by Tsutomu Nihei, the boy. So there's 10 stories. A lot of it is interesting. A lot of it is just begs more questions into the bigger narrative that Blam was. So let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Yeah, so there's a lot of short stories here. Some of them are just for fun in the beginning of this one volume that we have here, which was like Blam Academy, and that's just, like the classic thing that a manga series can have is just like, what happens if everyone goes to school, but then it's funny because of all the designs that these characters have. That's the interesting thing to it. The humor side to it is a little good change of pace too, I guess you could say. I wasn't expecting to have more than one chapter for that, so that was cool. Another cool thing about this is it's all in color. I didn't expect that, and the coloring is nice as always. It's more towards of how he colored Biomega than how he colored Blam. So that was interesting. I guess that just had to be more of the times of when he was doing this. And so there's other stories. Most of them involve the past. And I thought that was cool. Like I said in the main review for Blam is we're not focused on the past in that story unless it's directly involved into the plot right now. That's when we bring it up. And here we get to see a lot of snippets in time of how humanity did live at certain periods, right before the fall, right before the contagion, and then during, and then kind of like the resurgence and the many attempts at that anyways. And we get one nice story that explains how two characters that we meet in the main series, like how they met, and I thought that was really nice. That was cool. It explains a couple of other stuff too that I thought was interesting and how things just kind of connect from there. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That makes sense. A lot of cool moments like that. And then there was one story that was set post-ending that I thought was interesting. And it gave us a different perspective on the silicone creatures that were created and just like their viewpoints on the world. And I always like it when we kind of get a different perspective like that with an interesting antagonist type. And then a cool surprise of a character that shows up at the very end, which is cool because this is like years later, and seeing a character show back up was definitely surprising, but it's cool. It has that Trigun feel, I think, with Vash the Stampede. Right. There's very similar things mentioned that kind of compare the two series together that I thought was cool. And just sort of the concept of who Vash the Stampede was, the humanoid typhoon thing, and how his journey is. It's more of his footprint in a certain town or whatever event happened. And we kind of get a touch of that in here too. And then the third set of stories in here, I don't know what's going on, man. This is like, I said Blam is absurd sci-fi, abstract sci-fi. This takes that to a T. It's humanity fighting an alien race of flies is what I could surmise from what I read. It was very weird, and it definitely is engaging with, it's Nihei's writing. So of course you're like, what is like the way he's narrating these chapters of how certain species, grow in age, and, you're just thinking like, what is going on? How does this connect to Blam? Right? Is this in the beginning? Is this post? Is this what's happening outside of the structure that we're in? There was a lot of questions and flags raised, and it didn't really give me any answers. The very final chapter connected with the very first one, but that was kind of it. It was all just so weird, man. But if you're a fan of the boy Nihei and you really liked Blam, check this out. The main ones to look at is definitely the stuff from the past and that one from the future. Just, learning more about the world and how interesting things got with the technology, and then seeing how those characters came together was really nice. Those are my highlights. Aside from like the fun times when they were in Academy, like that was funny because it's not like they really changed the designs. There was one moment where the art style kind of changed to make it more slice of life shoujo type of thing. I thought that was a fun little change of pace. But yeah, definitely check it out, man. It's only, 8 chapters? Or it was 10 chapters. So, it's one sit down. When you get into the important stuff, definitely take your time, like I said before, with the main series. So that's going to be it for this quick, short episode here. So while we wait, guys, send us an email, unversedpodcast@gmail.com. Would love to talk about this series. What are your guys' opinions? Let's hear it. And while we wait for those episodes, you can follow us anywhere on social media at unversedpodcast. Let you know when those episodes drop. So thanks, guys. Catch you on the next one.